What is going on, you guys? I'm bringing you guys something special. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with StarCraft, but what they like to do in StarCraft, like the big names, when they first got started, like Day9 and stuff, is they took replays from really good StarCraft players and commentated over it. Now, we can't really get replays in World of Warcraft, unfortunately, but what I can do is, I know a lot of 2200 players in this server, and a lot of them would be willing to play for gold. So that's what I did. I paid some guys, some people that I faced in arenas, I should say, and I paid them some gold, and I got some replays. And I plan on doing this a lot, guys, because I really like commentating. So come and check out my commentating job. This is my first time ever trying commentating, guys. So please, please, please be very gentle on me. This is my first time. So check out these games, guys. It's going to be KFC versus Warrior Mage Druid. Jumping right into the game, guys. The Paladin goes into a fear, and he does bop this to stop all early momentum. He sacrifices the sheep and really negates their full CC chain. Aramel goes into some serious trouble against the Warrior, and the Paladin gets Cyclone, trinkets it instantly, and Aramel also has the deterrence, regardless of the Paladin trinketing. But the offensive cooldowns from the KFC does end up getting Wasabi to block, and just the consistent pressure, no matter how many defensive cooldowns are popped from the KFC, is just incredible. They stop all momentum from the KFC with that defensive ring, and Warrior Mage Druid team is just trying to get stability once again. Aramel's doing a great job by kiting this Warrior around, and he's also doing some serious damage at the same time. This Warrior is just getting kited into oblivion. He does end up running back and trying to get some CCs off on the Paladin, and a great knockoff by that Druid. He's sitting downstairs, line of sight of his team, and he goes into a full Cyclone downstairs. They see the pressure, and they put a full deep onto the Warrior. They bring him down to 30% and also get a shield wall out of him before the Paladin does end up coming back up. They try to Cyclone him to continue the pressure up and to make sure that he can't get any heals while the Paladin's not being CC'd. He does come out of the Cyclone and is completely fine. The KFC actually goes back on the offensive right here, and a Frost Orb is dropped in the middle, Blanket Silence on the Holy Paladin, and Zoo is popped by the Hunter. 50% is hovering on the Warrior, he's disarmed, and 50% is also hovering on the Mage, while the Druid's sitting in a full scatter. This Mage is going to have to kite instead of do damage right here, because of the massive amount of pressure that Zoo is putting into him. And the KFC team is still absolutely fine and on the offensive. The Warrior is trying to put as much damage, as much pressure on this KFC team as possible. At the same time, they switch to him and bring him down to 30%. He's taking some serious damage too, and there's no real way that this team can go offensive with the amount of consistent damage and CC this team offers. The Paladin goes into a Deep Freeze and bubbles it instantly. The Warrior and the Warrior Mage Druid team is at 20% and is very, very difficult to bring him back up with the rest of Druid against the KFC. A defensive ring rings all three of the team, and a full Repentance goes on the Druid, with the Warrior still hovering at 50%. The Warrior does end up dropping down, and at 30%, he's just not getting back up. The KFC team is just trying everything in their power to kill, and spam polys are going out on this Warrior just to negate as much damage as possible. Brainbread doing his best to be able to survive, but the CCs continue to go full trap on the Druid, and he's brought to execute range 8%, and he still doesn't die. He shadow mounts and gets brought back up, and he's still continuing to survive. The consistent pressure, I don't think the Warrior Mage Druid is going to come back from this. They do bring him to 20%, and he's in execute range. He's going to die here. There's just no way that they could go back offensive. You know, I really like how this Warrior Mage Druid team saw the opportunity that they got by throwing the Paladin off the bridge and instantly tried to make bank on that opportunity by deeping the Warrior upstairs and going for a kill there. They didn't get the kill, but they did get shield wall. And what that tells me is that they could have survived and set it up again. But to be honest with you, if the KFC's on their game, I really don't think it's possible for this Warrior Mage Druid team to come back from it without just sitting LOS for a long period of time. I mean, the KFC's consistent damage and instant CC from not only the Hunter but the Paladin also is just incredible. I mean, the Warrior Mage Druid team also doesn't have a Tremor, so that Warrior Fear is devastating to them. That initial bop sacrifice really did like set the momentum of CC from the Warrior Mage Druid team for the rest of the game. It was really hard to get any CCs off on that Paladin. They did everything they could, even knocking him off and cycling him off the bridge, and it just didn't matter. They were okay. They had defensive cooldowns for everything. They were completely fine the whole game. But the Warrior Mage Druid team, on the other hand, were fighting for every percent of life that they had. I mean, the Druid had full hots on him. The Mage was spamming Poly on the Warrior. Both of his rings were used defensively to peel. They just did everything that they possibly could. But let's hop into another game, guys. That was a pretty good. So this game, guys, right off the bat, KFC jumps onto Brainbread. Because last game that was their kill target. Brainbed is forced to play defensively, and the KFC's momentum is just incredible. It's just crazy how much damage they can get out. They're jumping on Airmail and getting a CC off on the Paladin and cross-CCing with a ring on the Warrior on his cooldowns. They still bring Brainbread to 30% regardless inside of a scatter, and a Trinket is already used on the Druid. Brainbread's already brought to execute range and having to shield wall and shadow meld. He's brought back up to livable range, 50%, 60%, but that was still a lot of cooldowns to be used already. Full shockwave goes out in the mage as he does blink it, and the pressure from the KFC is just unrelenting. They try to switch to the Paladin, get some pressure out, but he's going to be absolutely fine with these peels. Brainbed, on the other hand, is continuing to hover this whole game. The pressure is just insane. Polymorphs are going out on the Warrior just to get peels. Disarm on the Hunter just to gain stability back from this Warrior Mage Druid team. The Druid actually does punt the Paladin off once again, and the Paladin hodges the Cyclone. The Paladin comes back into line of sight with Airmail at 40%, and he goes into a full sheep. The Paladin does end up bubbling and guarding at the same time, and they got bubble and deterrent out of that knockdown. That was a fantastic synergy of getting into line of sight with the Paladin and going into a full sheep when getting hodged from the Cyclone. Now the Druid's getting full repentance, and Brainbread's still in a lot of trouble. He's in execute range, and he's probably going to die. There's just no coming back from that. When you get a Warrior into execute range, or when you're facing a Warrior and you get into execute range, and you're healing with a Resto Druid, it is so hard to get back from that. You need so many peels, and there just wasn't any at that particular moment, and it's just so fast. So, very good try. I mean, the clutch-ass freaking knockoff into a Cyclone, hodged the Cyclone, Pervy hodged the Cyclone, and then gets sheeped as soon as he gets into line of sight. Great play by the Warrior Mage Druid, but they just cannot stack up to the consistent instant CCs, the consistent damage. It is just so unrelenting, and they did a great job this match, but when it comes to KFC, it is just way too hard for them to beat. Alright guys, those are the two games that I commentated. Now, I will commentate more games, and if you think that you have what it takes to earn some gold in these 3v3 war games, I gotta tell you, these are T2 players. They've seen the top tier of each ladder, of the Cyclone ladder, I should say. So if you want to come and do some war games and try to win some gold, be my guest. You can either whisper me in-game, Dmachine, or you can make a comment, or send me in-game mail. Now, I will ask for some gold to enter, because obviously this costs me gold. But once you pay that gold one time, guys, and you prove to me that you're good in a 3v3 war game, I will invite you back, and you do earn 3k gold every time you do a war game, regardless of if you win or not. More if you win. So if you're interested, whisper me in-game, and tell me in the comments below if you liked my commenting, and if you want more of content like this. Alright guys, Dmachine out.